Hello beings, welcome to The Experience. My name is Experienciaflamino, and today I'm going to show you the much requested 30-day experience without consolidation of labor laws. Before this video continues, leave a like for me, it will really help my work a lot. You really have no idea? And leave a comment too. So, I don't know what happened recently, but there was a big wave of comments from people asking me to work for 30 days without the consolidation of labor laws. I don't know if lately it's been giving the impression that my life is very easy, that it's really simple to record little videos for the internet, work with social media and all that. So a lot of people have been asking me about this lately, and I found this experience very unusual. Or maybe some video went viral related to this topic, and I don't know if it's trending, saying that being an influencer isn't real work, and that only a regular job is real work, that working with content creation isn't real work. I don't know the reason, and I can't say that my job doesn't have big advantages compared to a regular job. Man, for me it's the dream job, seriously. There's no way to hide that it's an easy job. It's a job where I make good money, and it's a job that gives me a lot of freedom. I can travel and keep working and keep getting paid for it. So, I don't have any negative things to say about this good job, but let's go. The point of this video is work. I would choose to work for 30 days as a consolidation of labor laws employee, and how would I be able to do that for just 30 days? But the big truth is that this experience has already been completed. Yes, I have already worked for many years as a consolidation of labor laws employee. I keep thinking it's not possible that someone believes this has always been my job. At 33 years old, I've always only worked with the internet. So let's go. Before I had my easy job, I had formal jobs. Going back to a distant past, back when I was 14 before I had a formal job. I used to do odd jobs, working with my uncle. My uncle is a refrigeration technician and also fixed washing machines. At the time I helped him out, I did odd jobs. So, during school, which was in the morning, I studied, and then after school I would go help my uncle. I earned 10 raise a day for this first little job of mine since I was a teenager, right? So I wanted to have money, I wanted to have a source of income, and there was no way at the time, because it wasn't that easy to find a job before turning 18. I don't know how it is today actually, I'm pretty out of touch with that. If a young person wants to, I don't know, work at 16 unless it's an odd job, I don't know how it's done these days if it's possible unless it's on their own, right? You who are watching me, if you work and you're under 18, tell me how you managed to do it. I worked with my uncle for quite a while, for 3 years. It wasn't extremely hard work, but it wasn't easy either, and it also wasn't a formal job. So that's still not in this video story. Just to say how I started working early. At 18 years old, I had my first formal job working in telemarketing. I made a video about that job on this channel. I used to work less, right? The position and hours were less, but it was a job that required a lot of pressure, right? I worked with sales, so I had targets and everything. Anyone who's worked in sales knows how damn annoying it is, right? I'm not going to count that job yet because I had a really heavy emotional problem during that time. In fact, there's a pretty heavy video here on this channel about that emotional problem I went through. So, I stayed there for 2 or 3 months, just a short time, and then I left. So, I'm not going to count that job on my list of formal jobs, because it was only 2 or 3 months. I didn't gain much from it, not much experience. Back then, when I was 18, looking for a job basically meant handing out resumes and getting a formal job. It was really uncommon among young people for someone to be self-employed, and there was no such thing as working on the internet as an influencer yet. What would you be, a Microsoft Network Gold influencer or something? After recovering from that tough time, I started job hunting again, handed out resumes, and got a job at a print shop as a formal employee. At that print shop, I used my artistic skills for the first time. I was taking a course so that one day I could work at a game company. I'll get to that in the video, just wait a little bit. So I was taking a graphic arts course and everything, and I was already able to put some of it into practice at the print shop, making business cards. I was improving myself as a graphic designer, but as a true game addict, my dream was to work as a character designer. I worked at that print shop for about a year. As a full-time employee, I can finally check that off my list, right? And in that job, I learned something every full-time employee has to master, which is putting up with a lot of crap. That was my first job where I had to deal with a boss. What a piece of work, huh? I had one of the biggest and most annoying bosses ever. But seriously, the guy really tried hard to be a huge jerk. No, you have no idea, he was such a jerk. Nobody liked him. I don't think even his own mother liked him. None of the people at the company liked him. Wow. And working in this situation, having an arrogant, overbearing boss and all the other bad adjectives from A to Z is terrible, but it makes you grow a lot as a person. Any problem in your life makes you grow as a person. Unfortunately, that's a really effective way to grow. It's a shortcut to a person's moral development. So I think that was my biggest lesson. With this job, under consolidation of labor laws, it was dealing with difficult people. In this case, a person, our boss, was a real son of a bee. I've never been someone who gets too comfortable at work. As much as I liked the company I had just joined, I never stopped looking for better jobs, so that's how it was. I had just started at a company, alright? I'm going to work on my resume, I'm going to study, because my goal isn't here yet, it's not this company, I'm going to keep looking for a job, and that's what I did. At the time, I was finishing learning the Adobe suite, not fully complete in design, you know? I combined Illustrator, Photoshop, and other tools with illustration. Because I was also taking a comic book course, so I was looking for a job that was a bit more related to art than my current one. At the print shop, I didn't spend all day making business cards or growing as a graphic designer. Most of the time, I was taking care of printer maintenance. After that, I kept studying graphic arts and found a job. I moved from there to a company that made technical car manuals. Imagine this, you bought a car and now you need to figure out how to deal with the engine, so there are all those little engine drawings and everything else. I did that. It wasn't exactly the dream job working with art and all because it was very technical, you know? As the name says, technical manual. But at least I was working there every day. The two software programs I wanted to learn were Photoshop and Illustrator. I also used Corel Draw back then. My God, what a heresy. By the way, one really cool thing to point out is that the way I quit that job at the print shop was very satisfying. Man, seeing the face of that huge son of a angry because I quit like that, it was really good. Today, I wouldn't do the same thing, but I don't regret it. My job at that technical manuals company lasted there for a few years. I also developed a lot in the technical side of Photoshop, Illustrator, Corel Draw. It made me a better artist. And I was already finishing my comics course, so I thought, well, I feel ready to really work with illustration, right? I'm going to look for a more specialized job in this, where I can use what I've learned about art and not just the technical side of art software. Just a note, in the meantime, I also worked a little as a waiter to make some extra money on weekends at a few places. It didn't last long, just so you know. And then I was already fervently looking for jobs related to art, and finally I found an illustration studio where they called me in. I took the test on the same day, passed it, and from then on, I never worked a regular job again. I discovered freelancing. I discovered the kind of work that would give me more freedom and allow me to earn more for the rest of my life. And from then on, I would never want to work a regular job again. From then on, nothing much was new. I've already made a video here about my 6 years working with illustration. First it was for an educational illustration studio, then it was for another educational illustration studio. I kept job hunting even while working at a studio. I kept looking and kept developing myself in this area until I finally managed to reach my primary goal. Back from my teenage years, working at a game company, never again as a regular employee, right? Always as a freelancer, but I made it. I managed to get into a game company. Man, if I had known it was going to be like that, seriously. From then on, from that job, I lost my passion for art. I never decided to illustrate anything again, and I told myself if at any point I need an illustration, I'll pay for it, but I won't do it myself. At a certain point, I was really fed up with that game company and I couldn't find another job. It was a tough time, and I didn't want to keep working with illustration anymore, so it was really hard to look for a job and hard to know what to do. Because imagine dedicating your whole life to working in a field and then being completely disappointed with it. And you realized it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. It wasn't a perfect world. It was just misery and paid little. And you noticed you didn't feel like illustrating anymore. Art literally died in my heart, so what was I supposed to do? I spent all that time studying for nothing. I decided to become an Uber driver. My boss was even shocked that I was quitting to work as an Uber driver. Because at the time it was still kind of uncertain, kind of risky. At the time, because taxi drivers used to attack Uber drivers, so I quit my job, bought a car to start working as an Uber driver, and started working as an Uber driver. And believe it or not, after my current job as an influencer, my second best job was as an Uber driver. I was happy as an Uber driver, and I say that proudly. It helped me pay a lot of bills. I didn't understand what kind of math people were doing that made being an Uber driver seem like a loss. I always had money left after paying bills, earning nearly double my salary. At the gaming company, I never understood these calculations people did. No, if you have a car, you'll spend this much on the car, and here, in the end, you're paying 10 rays a month. For being an Uber driver, where do people get that from? For God's sake, working as a good Uber driver was truly worth it. In a fast way, after working as an Uber driver, I worked some modeling gigs since I was already in São Paulo and could attend castings. And in the meantime, between Uber and modeling, I managed to go viral with my first video on Facebook, which was what triggered this whole internet life I have today. Now I'm making this video for you, so I can speak with credibility about what it's like to work as a salaried employee, okay? So you can't say that I bit the hand that fed me, right? I paid off a lot of debts, I achieved a lot with my salaried job, and it was good for me. I appreciate my work and value my life and freedom now. Making the most of things is valuable. Being a salaried employee helps personal growth. After all, to work as a freelancer or self-employed, you need to have self-management and time management skills. Not everyone has that profile, so for some it's better to be a salaried employee. But what weighs the most about working as a salaried employee is the lack of freedom you have. It's living for work. I thought that was terrible, so after the moment I was able to work for myself, choose the hours I work, choose how much I'm going to earn. If I work more, I earn more. If I work less, I earn less. Being willing to take the risk of working, and I don't know, if I can't work one day, I won't get paid for that day. I think a lot of people are attached to a false sense of security that a formal job gives you, when in reality you can be fired at any moment. Oh, but I'll have unemployment insurance forever. You won't have unemployment insurance forever. Oh, but there's the retirement benefit. Man, look at when you'll actually start receiving your retirement, and it's not even enough money to live that well. You can get something much better. Well, that's my point of view. I believe that working for yourself, the possibilities are much greater. After I started working online, I even owned a company. I had a hair product brand, I had a coffee brand. Did I give up on both? It didn't work out very well for me to be a company manager, even though I could hire people. And I hired people to help me with this process, with management, with manual work and everything else. It wasn't worth it. And today, after many years working for myself, I feel a strong need to pass this knowledge on. This influence and my work as an influencer. To encourage people to look for a job on their own, one where they can have more freedom, where they can earn more, or just other alternatives so people can be inspired to look for other sources of income. This video isn't to sell any kind of course, it's just to inspire you to go after what you want, and that's okay. If you give up at some point, you'll find yourself again in life. It happened to me. I studied for years to work at a gaming company, and in the end, I realized it was terrible. It's normal. We reinvent ourselves from scratch and can do so at any time. You can be 40 years old and realize that your whole life was wasted in a job you don't like, and that's okay. Starting over from scratch is not a problem, and nowadays I am extremely satisfied with my job. My job is important, influencing people towards things I truly believe in, influencing people to improve their lives in many ways. Quality of life, how to present yourself, how to start a new habit. Everything I test here, I want it to be an influence, but some things I don't want to be an influence. Some terrible videos are here. If you enjoyed this one, please like and comment to support my work. How was your experience working under a formal contract? If you still work under a formal contract, if you stopped working under a formal contract, or if you didn't like working as a freelancer or self-employed, let me know. I wanted to see more people's experiences regarding this. To see if I'm alone in this. Oops, I hit the microphone, and until next time. Wow, but you guys have no idea. I wanted to grab that guy by the hair, but the worst part is he didn't even have hair to grab, seriously. Today I'm the most patient guy I've ever known in my life. And look, recently I dealt with monks, and it was because of that boss, son of a... No, I'm going to look him up on Facebook, send him a message on Messenger. Hello, you big son of a... I don't recommend. Just kidding. Go ahead. Working under consolidation of labor laws is better than not working, right? Is it?